warnings. Sometimes it begins at sea, when fleets are already moving, aircraft are already armed, and the decision to fight has already been made. On this day, two powerful nations faced each other across open water, knowing that once the first strike came, there would be no turning back. The ocean became the first battlefield. Warships from both sides spread across the sea, radar systems scanning constantly, crews operating under combat readiness. Missiles sat armed beneath steel decks, engines pushed vessels through dark water, and commanders watched glowing screens where a single blip could mean survival or destruction. At sea, distance offers no safety. Every ship knows it can be seen, tracked, and targeted at any moment. Inside the warships, the reality of war felt close and personal. Sailors moved through narrow corridors under red combat lighting, gripping railings as the ship cut through rough water. In control rooms, voices were calm but urgent. Sonar operators listened for faint signals beneath the waves, knowing that submarines could strike without warning. Damage control teams stood ready, because at sea, fire and flooding are as deadly as enemy weapons. The first attacks came fast, missiles launched from ships, cutting through the air toward distant targets. Defensive systems activated instantly, interceptors firing, alarms sounding across the fleet. The sea, once calm, filled with smoke, fire, and shockwaves. Ships maneuvered aggressively, knowing that slowing down meant becoming an easy target. Above the fleet, the war expanded into the sky. Aircraft carriers launched fighter jets in rapid succession, turning the ocean into a moving airbase. Pilots accelerated down carrier decks and lifted into hostile airspace, fully aware that some would not return. In the air, radar warnings screamed. Enemy fighters appeared, and missiles streaked between clouds. The battle was no longer confined to the sea. It now belonged to the sky as well. From the cockpit, the war looked different. Pilots saw ships burning below, explosions flashing across the water, and enemy aircraft closing in at terrifying speed. Decisions were made in seconds: engage or evade, fire or retreat. In aerial combat, hesitation could be fatal, and every maneuver pushed both machine and human limits. Back at sea, warships fought to survive. Some were hit. Fires spread through decks, compartments flooded, and wounded sailors were carried through smoke-filled passageways. Crews worked desperately to contain damage, sealing doors, pumping water, and refusing to abandon their ship. At sea, retreat is not always possible. A ship either survives or sinks. Submarines entered the fight unseen. Beneath the surface, they tracked enemy vessels silently, launching torpedoes from darkness. Explosions erupted without warning, tearing ships apart from below. For surface crews, the fear of what lay beneath was constant. The enemy could be anywhere, invisible and deadly. As the battle continued, both sides suffered losses. Ships burned. Aircraft vanished from radar. The sea filled with debris, fuel, and fire. Yet the fighting did not stop. Fleets adjusted formations. New orders were issued. Fresh aircraft launched. War at sea moves relentlessly, indifferent to exhaustion or fear. Eventually, the intensity slowed. Not because the danger was gone, but because both sides had reached their limits. Damaged ships withdrew. Aircraft returned low on fuel and ammunition. The ocean, scarred by battle, began to grow quiet again. When the fighting ended, the sea looked unchanged from a distance. Waves still moved. The horizon still stretched endlessly. But beneath the surface lay wreckage, lost aircraft, and the remains of ships that would never return home. Sailors and pilots who survived carried memories that would never fade. This was not a war fought on land, with cities and borders. It was a war fought across water and sky, where survival depended on coordination, discipline, and courage, where machines mattered. But human decisions mattered more. And as history has shown time and again, when nations choose conflict, the sea and the sky do not choose sides. They simply become witnesses to destruction.